In the summer of 1942, Alexander Pilkin watched 650 men charge across a Russian field. 4 minutes later, only 47 still breathed. Their bodies covered the grass like scattered toys. Blood pooled in the wheel ruts. The survivors stood there, shaking, waiting for orders to charge again. But here's what makes this different from every other war story. Every single man was already condemned to die, not by the Germans, but by Stalin. They were Strafniks, penal soldiers, criminals in uniform. Men whose only path to redemption led straight through minefields. Watch that field today. It's peaceful. Wildflowers grow where men exploded. Children play where fathers vanished. Nobody remembers what happened here. Nobody wants to. June 1942. Look at the map. German tanks have smashed 600 miles into Russia. They're drinking coffee in villages where Russian families ate breakfast 6 months ago. Moscow prepares to burn its own buildings rather than let Germans have them. In Leningrad, people boil leather boots for soup. They eat wallpaper paste. They eat their dead. Stalin sits in the Kremlin, smoking his pipe. His generals show him the map. Every day, the red parts get smaller. The black parts get bigger. Black means German. Red means Russian. Soon there might be no red left. He explodes, slams his fist on the table. "Cowards!" he screams. "Traitors!" He believes his army runs because they're weak, because they don't fear him enough. Therefore, he issues Order 227, not one step back. Listen to the actual words. Panic makers and cowards must be destroyed on the spot. Not arrested, not court-martialed, destroyed, on the spot. This order creates 2 new weapons. First, penal battalions, units made entirely of cowards and traitors. Second, blocking detachments, soldiers whose only job is shooting Russians who retreat. Picture this. You're a Soviet soldier. Germans in front shoot at you. Russians behind shoot at you. Where do you run? You don't run. You can't run. You can only go forward. Within 3 months, Stalin creates 800 penal units. That's 200,000 men, all condemned, all expendable, all marching toward German guns with Russian guns aimed at their backs. 3 types of men filled these death battalions. Each type had its own path to damnation. First came soldiers like Lieutenant Nikolai Obrinba, a good officer, decorated twice for bravery. Then came July 15th, 1942. Germans surround his unit. He has 45 men left from 200. No ammunition, no food. He leads them through forest paths, escapes the trap, saves their lives. His reward? Arrest for unauthorized retreat. The trial lasts 3 minutes. The verdict? Guilty of cowardice. The sentence? Penal battalion. Think about that. This man saved 45 soldiers. His punishment? Getting sent to die with criminals. Second came political prisoners. Men who told the wrong joke about Stalin. Men whose neighbors wanted their apartment. Men who surrendered to Germans and then escaped because surrender itself was treason. Vladimir Kantovsky was a school teacher. Someone reported him for saying bread lines were too long. No trial. Straight to penal battalion. He'd never held a gun before. Third came the real criminals, murderers, thieves, rapists, men who'd eaten human flesh in the prison camps. Stalin emptied his gulags, 1 million criminals, and gave them uniforms. Told them, fight Germans and maybe we forgive you. Run away and we definitely kill you. Picture the first day these men meet. A mathematics professor stands next to a cannibal. A decorated captain shares a foxhole with a child killer. All wearing the same uniform. All carrying broken rifles. All knowing that tomorrow, most of them die. Yuri Fedorov survived his penal unit. Years later, his hands still shook when he wrote, "Each morning we made the same bet. Die attacking Germans or die retreating from them?" Those were the only options. Some men chose German bullets because at least those came from the front. The redemption rules were simple and brutal. A minor wound meant nothing. Lost a finger? Keep fighting. Shrapnel in your shoulder? Stand up and charge again. Broke your foot? Hop forward on one leg. Only severe injury earned redemption. Only near death bought freedom. The system had an actual formula. Light wound equals 0 days off your sentence. Severe wound equals sentence complete. Death equals family gets a letter saying you died heroically instead of as a criminal. Some units died completely. Every single man. The 24th Penal Battalion attacked German positions at Kursk. They had rifles from 1891. Half didn't work. They had 3 bullets each. The Germans had machine guns, tanks, artillery. The 24th charged anyway. 95% died in one morning. Blood turned the dirt to mud. The survivors, 23 men from 500, got new criminals that afternoon and attacked again. But the worst job belonged to the Tramplers. These Shtrafniks walked through minefields. No equipment, no mine detectors, just their bodies. Each step might be their last. Each explosion cleared one mine. The men behind stepped over the pieces of men in front. Viktor Kuznetsov was a trampler. He survived 17 minefield walks. 17. He said, "You learned not to look down. The ground was always red. You learned not to learn names. The man next to you would be vapor in 5 minutes. You learned to shut off your brain and just walk. Step, boom, scream. Step, boom, scream." That was the rhythm. One battalion commander, trying to inspire his Tramplers, said, "You're clearing the path to Berlin." A Shtrafnik replied, "No, sir, we're fertilizing it." September 14th, 1942. Germans control 90% of Stalingrad. They've turned every building into a fortress, every room into a battlefield. The life expectancy of a Soviet soldier arriving in Stalingrad? 24 hours. For a Shtrafnik? 4 hours. Penal Company 181 gets orders. Retake the grain elevator. This concrete tower stands 7 stories tall. From the top, you can see the whole Volga River. Germans hold it with machine guns, mortars, and snipers. Regular units have tried 3 times. All failed. Captain Alexei Pavlov leads 47 condemned men toward the elevator. No artillery support. Can't waste shells on criminals. No smoke screen. Too valuable for Shtrafniks. Just 47 men running across 200 yards of open ground. The Germans open fire. Men fall like cut grass. Pavlov keeps running. He reaches the wall with 23 men still alive. They blow a hole with their last grenade. They charge inside. For 3 days they fight room by room. Germans attack with flamethrowers. The Shtrafniks throw burning comrades out windows and keep fighting. Germans pump in poison gas. The Shtrafniks piss on rags, breathe through them, keep fighting. They pile dead friends as barricades. They collect blood in helmets to drink. When bullets run out, they fight with shovels, with bricks, with teeth. A German officer later wrote in his diary, "These weren't soldiers. They were demons. They wanted to die, but they wanted to take us with them." On the 4th day, regular Soviet troops arrive. They find 7 Shtrafniks still alive, still holding the elevator. The floor is ankle deep in shell casings and body parts. The walls have more holes than wall, but the red flag flies from the roof. Something unexpected happened. Regular Soviet soldiers started respecting them. Even Stalin noticed. Not enough to treat them better, but enough to use them more. The Shtrafniks of the 42nd Penal Company held the central railway station for 72 hours. Alone. No reinforcements. No resupply. They fought until their guns melted. Then they fought with German weapons taken from corpses. When those ran out, they fought with railroad tracks torn from the ground. Mikhail Petrov fought in Stalingrad's sewers, chest deep in human waste, in the dark, fighting Germans they couldn't see. He remembered, we crawled through shit and corpses. The smell made you vomit until nothing came up. We killed Germans with shovels, with pipes, with our bare hands. Why? Because down there, in that hell, criminal or hero didn't matter. We were all just men trying to see tomorrow. Operation Bagration, summer 1944. Stalin wants to destroy an entire German army group. 1 million Soviet soldiers ready to attack. But who goes first? Always the same answer. Penal battalions. They attack at dawn. No breakfast. Why waste food? No ammunition count. They won't live long enough to reload. They charge through marshes that suck men under, through forests where every tree hides a German gun. They open holes in German lines. Regular troops pour through gaps torn open by dead Shtrafniks. Yuri Petrov remembers, we knew the plan. We break their line. We die doing it. Real soldiers come through and win the battle. They get medals. We get buried, if we're lucky. April 1945. Königsberg Fortress. This castle has stood for 7 centuries, never fallen. Walls 40 feet thick. Germans have machine guns in every window, artillery on every tower. Penal units get the honor of going first. They charge across the moat. Germans pour gasoline on the water, set it on fire. Shtrafniks burn while they swim. The ones who reach the walls start climbing. No ladders. They use their bayonets as picks. They use dead comrades as steps. Mikhail Sokolov survived that assault. 60 years later, he still couldn't sleep. Blood ran down the walls like rain. You'd grab a handhold and it would be somebody's intestines. You'd step on what you thought was a rock and it would be somebody's head. But we kept climbing. What else could we do? Going back meant getting shot. Going up meant maybe living 5 more minutes. Here's the part that burns. Some Shtrafniks earned the highest medal, Hero of the Soviet Union. Captain Matvey Shapovalov led his penal company to capture 47 German bunkers, personally killed 30 Germans, saved 2 regular units from ambush, died taking the last bunker. Moscow made him a hero of the Soviet Union, but they classified it. Secret. His wife got a letter. Your husband died in battle. Nothing more. No medal. No details. No pride. His children grew up thinking their father was a coward who got shot running away. They learned the truth in 1991 when secret files opened. Both children were already old. They'd spent their whole lives ashamed of a hero father. May 9th, 1945. War ends. Moscow celebrates. Stalin waves from the Kremlin. Soldiers march in victory parades, except Shtrafniks. They're not invited. They don't exist. Approximately 65,000 penal soldiers still breathe. Now what? The government gives them special papers, not discharge papers, different papers. Papers that say they served but don't say where. Papers that ban them from talking about penal battalions, ever, to anyone, including their wives. No veteran benefits. Those are for real soldiers. No medical care. Hospitals are for heroes. No military pension. Criminals don't get pensions. Your service record? Erased? Your wounds? You never earned them? Your dead friends? They never existed. Mikhail Petrovich fought at Kursk, lost his left arm to a German grenade, killed 12 Germans with his right arm before passing out, woke up in a penal battalion medical tent, just bandages and vodka, no morphine for criminals. Came home to find his wife remarried. The government had told her he was dead. His children called another man father. He found a job sweeping streets with one arm. His neighbors whispered, "That's the coward. That's the criminal. Wonder what he did." He never told them about Kursk, about the grenade. about the 12 Germans. He wasn't allowed to. He said in 1987, "In the battalion, I was somebody. I mattered. My death would have meant something. Back home, I was nothing, less than nothing, a living ghost. Some nights I wished I'd died at Kursk. At least then, I'd be a name on a monument somewhere." Some men couldn't take it. Ivan Kozlovsky wrote letter after letter to Moscow. "We bled the same blood," he wrote in 1973. "Our bones are mixed with regular soldiers' bones in the same dirt. Why don't we exist?" Moscow never answered. Ivan hanged himself that winter. His suicide note had 3 words: "I was there." Alexander Pilsin, the man from our opening, fought for 30 years to get recognition. He wrote books nobody would publish. He gathered testimonies nobody would read. He pounded on doors nobody would open. Finally, in the 1990s, after the Soviet Union collapsed, historians found the records. Boxes and boxes in basement archives. Lists of names, hundreds of thousands. Next to each name, one word: redeemed. But redemption, they discovered, only came for the dead. The living stayed condemned. Those peaceful meadows from our beginning? They're not meadows, they're graveyards, not marked, not remembered, not honored, just grass growing over men who died twice, once from German bullets, once from Soviet erasure. Stalin created these units to punish cowardice. He wanted to weaponize fear itself. Therefore, he accidentally proved something he never intended. Even men written off as worthless can choose meaning. Even the condemned can become heroes. Even in the space between 2 certain deaths, German or Soviet, human courage finds a way to matter. But the Soviet Union could never admit this truth, because admitting it meant admitting the system that condemned them was wrong, admitting that heroes and criminals might be the same people, admitting that the state's judgment might be false. So they buried the story, classified the files, silenced the survivors, erased the units from history books, made 200,000 men disappear from the war's narrative. Today, Russian schools don't teach about penal battalions. The last survivors are dying, maybe 100 left, all over 90 years old. Soon, no one alive will remember the Shtrafniks, except now you know. You know about Victor, who walked through 17 minefields, about Mikhail, who fought in sewers full of corpses, about Ivan, who couldn't live with the silence. You know about men who cleared minefields with their feet, who charged into certain death because retreat meant certain death, who proved that redemption isn't given, it's taken, one terrible step at a time, one impossible battle at a time, one forgotten death at a time. In Moscow, in a basement archive nobody visits, sit boxes of yellowed papers, death certificates, hundreds of thousands of them, and next to each name, that same word written in fading ink: redeemed. But redemption, it seems, is something only the dead were allowed to achieve. The living? They're still serving their sentences. If this story grabbed you by the throat, hit subscribe. Every week, we excavate the buried truths of history, the stories they killed, the heroes they hid, the sacrifices they silenced. Next week, the Japanese soldiers who kept fighting World War II for 30 years after it ended. They didn't know the war was over. Or did they? The truth is worse than you think. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more fascinating World War II historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.